Uh, yeah, the first was a welcome presentation. Now I would like to share with you a more personal story. And first question I would ask to you is, do you know about ChatGPT? Yeah, you know? Yeah, ChatGPT. So when I started thinking about this speech, the first thing that came to my mind was whatever I could do it with ChatGPT. But then I remembered the first time I went to a startup grind event where I realized that the most important thing is people. Therefore, even though we are at a technology event today, I cannot let a machine speak for me, and that's why I'm doing it myself. Today, I want to tell you my entrepreneurial story, and there is no better place than do it here, at the Technocampus Mataró, where I started. I remember perfectly, when I started studying, I wanted to be the CEO of a big company. It was 2008, and entrepreneurship wasn't that popular yet. It wasn't something that ran in the family either, as my parents were civil servants. But all that changed when I took the entrepreneurship and innovation course. Since then, I was clear that I wanted to start my own company. Although I wasn't sure how I would do it. When I finished my degree, I immediately realized that starting a business wasn't going to be as easy as I thought. I didn't know how to start. I didn't have contacts, experience, a clear idea, or any friends who wanted to start a company with me. I started working for a multinational pharmaceutical company, never giving up on entrepreneurship. And it was precisely during that time that I met Startup Grind. Being part of this community and getting to know people who had the same interest as me, and learning from successful speakers who came to talk, helped me maintain my motivation for entrepreneurship during that time. But without realizing it, 5 years had passed and different projects failed. At that time, I believe that the only reason those projects hadn't worked was that I hadn't focused all my energy on them, as I was still working for the multinational. That's why I quit my job to dedicate myself 100% to a new project. This was in 2019. As you can probably imagine, that project also failed. But during the time it lasted, I continued to learn and gain experience. I cannot excuse myself by saying that the pandemic of 2020 affected the project's success. But it did affect me and my mental health. Since those who know me know that I always prefer face-to-face interaction and contact with people. And in search of that face-to-face interaction is how Startup Grind Mataró was born. In the city, after the textile crash, the public administration strongly supported entrepreneurship and created programs for entrepreneurs. If you had an idea, you could apply for different individualized entrepreneurship programs to develop it. But what if you didn't have an idea and wanted to start a business? What if you didn't have a team? How would you meet more people who had the same interest as you? That's how Startup Grind Mataró was born. A community that aimed to bring together local entrepreneurial people to learn, inspire, and connect with other local entrepreneurs, and why not add Mataró as a point in an international network. I was telling you that Startup Grind Mataró was born in search of face-to-face interaction during the pandemic. I remember that time. When everyone talked about the new reality and the boom of technology companies, the stock market kept going up. And in Silicon Valley, new projects were capturing millions of dollars in funding funds, in funding rounds. From my home, I thought, have these people forgotten about face-to-face interaction? Have they forgotten the value of looking someone in the eyes and shaking hands? The people who started Startup Grind Mataró hadn't forgotten. And that's why in January 2021, we held the world's first post-pandemic Startup Grind in-person event. Many others followed. And with the recent corrections in the market of those tech companies, I have the feeling that they had forgotten about people at that time. Today, we are holding our 25th event in the city and the first tech summit. Many people ask me if it would have been easier to hold this big event in Barcelona. I always answer that when you go to Silicon Valley, you don't go to San Francisco. Everyone understands that it's an ecosystem that extends beyond a single city. And we can see this with the headquarters of the big tech companies, Palo Alto, Mountain View, Santa Clara, or Redwood City, where the Startup Grind Global event is held every year. Here, it seems that if you don't do it in Barcelona, it's not important. I'm not saying that Barcelona should be like Silicon Valley. In fact, I believe it would be a mistake to try to make it. But we need to start decentralizing Barcelona, expanding the ecosystem, and holding events beyond the city to create a larger area of entrepreneurial fabric. That's why we are holding the event here in Mataró. With Startup Grind, I've learned many things. I told you at the beginning that when I started out, I didn't have any contacts. Now, I have many friends. And I've learned a lot from all of them. And I want to share some of those things with you. I've learned that sometimes having companies as clients can be much more profitable than individuals. As an engineer, I focused a lot on having a perfect product before launching it. But I've learned to sell the product you want to have, even if you don't have it at the moment. I've learned that the most important thing is to listen to your customers. And if you are doing one thing and your customers are asking for something else, don't be afraid to pivot. I've learned the importance of cultivating and maintaining the network of friends you have. I've learned the value of perseverance when going through the desert. I've learned that before seeking investment, you should find a business model that works and has traction. And so I could go with all the speakers and attendees who have passed through Startup Grind Mataró. I try to share all my learnings with people who ask me about them. I don't yet know if my next startup will change the world, have more limited success, be a lifetime business, a consultancy, fail again, or if I will be working in a startup. But what I do know is that it always maintains the values of Startup Grind. Give first, help others, and make friends. That's why I want you to remember these values these days, to appreciate the importance of being here in person today. And when you talk to somebody, to someone, look them in the eyes and ask, how can I help you? Welcome to Startup Grind.